Hello, everyone, and welcome you all to another chapter of the JavaScript beginners tutorial. So now we are on our chapter number 5, where I'll be showing you guys by writing JavaScript inside VS Code. So in our last class, we do have seen that how you will be able to install and also download different extensions inside your VS Code. So in this class, we will get started on writing JavaScript inside your HTML file or inside your VS Code. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So over here on my screen, as you guys can see, now again, I'm in the same file in which we were working in our last class, which was index.html. Okay. So I also do have showed you by right clicking and show you guys this particular uh, program in our live server as well. Okay. So this is how it actually looks. But over here, now you guys might be thinking, well, I do have this particular HTML file, but where you guys can basically write the JavaScript inside this HTML file. Okay, so we do have to understand that most of the time we do write our JavaScript just inside or just below this body. So you guys can just click on enter, and if you just type script.src, so here you guys can just click on script src, and here you guys can see I do have this particular script file. So inside here you guys can just type anything, but now let's come over here and let's remove the src from here. Okay, so let's come here and I will just remove the src. Okay, so let me just make it a script file. Let's come over here, let's click on enter, and inside the script let's type console dot log. Okay, so I will just type this console dot log right over here. And inside this one, let's open parenthesis right over here. Let's open the double quote. And inside here, let's type hello everyone. Okay, so I will just type out this hello everyone option over here. And let me just close this down with a semicolon. And if you do want to see this, okay, so I do have written this particular JavaScript. And if you do want to see this particular script inside the live server, let's right click and let's click open with live server. But here, if you take out a look, you guys are not able to see which I have written. Okay, so here I do have the title and also I do have the body. I'm not able to see what I have put inside the body. Well, to see that now, if I just click on Control Shift and F to check out the inspector panel, or if I just right click, let's click on inspect option, and you come over here into the inspect option inside the console. Here you guys can see that over here I do have hello everyone written. Okay, so the same way, if I just come here and from here, now if I just come down and let's click on enter, and if I just type alert, okay, let's open parenthesis, let's open double quote, and over here, now I will just type notification. Okay, you guys can just type anything. So I will just type notification. Let's close this down with semicolon. And if I just come again right over here, and if I just refresh my browser, okay, let's come here and let's refresh this particular browser. Well, let's come here and you guys can just uh, clear this one out. And again, if you come here, and if you just refresh this particular thing, And from here, again, let's close everything down. Let me just close this thing as well. Let's right click. And from here, I will just click on open with live server. And here, as you guys can see, this is getting opened with a live server, but on top, I already do have an alert message. Okay, so I can just open up this alert message right over here, and you click on OK, it will basically disappear. So now I just clicked on OK. If you do want to inspect this file, let's click on inspect. And here you guys can see that I do have hello everyone in my console, because here in my VS Code, I do have tool console.log because I do want to see this particular set of words inside my console. Okay, again, if I just come to this particular server and if I just reload this page here, you guys can see I do have this alert message. And if I click on OK, here you guys can see that I do have the content inside my particular website. Okay, so this is how it basically works. So in today's world, most of the time we don't use this alert button. Okay, so you guys can just make this one up a comment. Okay, so you guys can come here and you guys can make this one up a comment, which we will learn later what a comment is. We do have a dedicated class for that. So we are going to do a bit more programming right over here. And let me tell you that JavaScript is basically a very simple programming language. And using JavaScript, you guys can become a full stack web developer. So you guys can use Node.js, okay, and Monkey in for your backend programming. And you guys can later do the you guys can do the back end programming, and later you guys can do the front end programming over here as well using the JavaScript. Okay, so you guys, if you know this particular language quite well, okay, it will be a very good advantage for you. Okay, like if you're planning to become a full web stack developer, in that case, this particular tutorial is going to be a lot useful. So let's try to do more programming right over here. So from here, if I just click on enter, and if you do want to create up a container, let's say you don't want to fill up object inside that. So you guys can just use the shortcut, let's say diy.container. Okay. So if you just use this a bit abbreviation, you guys can see that over here, you do have this particular option, and also it actually gives you this space where you do have this DIY container. So just think, if you want to type the same thing manually, it will take a lot of time for you to type. Okay, so the DIY container, it basically contains a class, and inside this particular place you guys can just fill up anything you want right over here. So also over here under this particular class, okay, so I do have created like DIY is equals DIY class is equal to container, like whatever object you do want to put inside it. Okay, so now let's create up a button. Let me show you guys the example. So button hash click. Okay, so if I just type this button hash click right over here, and if I just click on enter, here you guys can see now it shows me that button ID equals to click. Okay, so over here we need to understand one thing, that over here the first one I do have used DIY dot container. Okay, so dot means class and hash means ID. Okay, so just remember this particular thing, which will be a lot useful into going to our next part of the classes. Okay, once we deep move into our classes, it will be quite useful and it will save a lot of your time. Okay, So now, as you guys can see, this is the ID. Let me create up a button right over here for you. Okay. So if I want to type, click here inside my button. Okay. Let's come here and now let's right click. Let's open it with the live server. And here, just underneath, here you guys can see under this particular thing, I do have a button right over here, okay, which is basically clickable. Okay, so this is how you guys can actually create a button right over here. And you guys can see that where I do have actually placed these things up. So inside your DOM, okay, so a DOM is basically called the page of the website, which I do have created. Okay, where you guys were able to see the button, you guys were able to see welcome you all to my class text. Okay, so over here you guys can see that you guys can have multiple classes. Okay, you guys can have multiple container of classes inside your body, but here you guys can't have multiple ID. Okay, you guys can't have multiple ID because that is not a good practice as well. Because if I just come here and let's say Control C to copy, and if I just put Control V and now right click again and let's open it with my live server, here you guys can see I do have these two clickable links. Okay, so you guys should not have two clickable links of the same name. Okay, you guys can have here you guys can see that over here I do have named this button ID, and over here I do have named this one click. But instead of click over here, now if I just change it to something else, maybe I will be able to use it, but not this same one. Okay, so let's come here and let's just delete this one. Let's come here on top. So now over here, let me show you guys what do I mean that you guys can basically have this multiple classes or multiple containers. So if I come here, let's click on enter, and again let me just click on DIY dot container. And if I just click on enter, here you guys can see that I do have this container. And over here now, let me just type out a paragraph. Okay, so I will just type a paragraph. And inside this one, I will just type this is the first line. Okay, or let me just type this is the second line. Okay, so in one thing you should understand that how coding works. Okay, so your coding will start decoding from number one and it will go on till the last. Okay, so over here first I need to understand that inside my body it will decode this h1 id right over here. Then it will come here, it will decode this particular class, it will show this one, and after that it will show this particular line which I have over here. Okay, so now if I just click, let's say if I just right click and if I just click on open on live server, here you guys can see welcome you all to my class. Then I do have this particular button, and then underneath that I do have that this is the second line. Okay, so this is how it will basically show. If I do want to show this one on top of this particular ID, okay, so for that I can come here and I can just copy and paste this thing and put this one on top of this. Okay, so here you guys can see that I do have the DIY class with the same name over here and also over here as well. But the content inside both are different. So you guys can do that, but not in the case of an ID. So yeah, I hope you guys do have understood till this much the difference between a class and a difference between an ID. Okay, so over here you guys can see that you guys can have a multiple, like you guys can have this one tag inside multiple element in class, but you can't have this ID the same way. Like if you do want to come here, you guys can name this one as click 1, you guys can name this one as click 2, you guys can name this one as some different key. Okay, you guys can do that, but you guys can have the button ID and click more than one, more inside more than one element. Okay, so let me come over here, and as you guys can see over here, I do have created this particular element. Okay, so let me come here and let me just give this one a ID as well. Okay, so I will just type ID equal to, and let me name this one as container. Okay, so let's come here, let's open up the double quote, and I will just name this one as container 1. Okay, so I will just name this as container 1. Okay, so let's come here, and from here now let's go to our live server. Okay, so over here, as you guys can see, I am here in the live server. Let me just refresh this page, and from here let's right click, and I want to go to the inspect page from here. So I'll just click on inspect, and as you guys can see that I do have my console right over here. So if you do want to come here and if you do want to write inside your console, let's say, so over there, as you guys have already seen that here, I do have named this particular element as container 1. So if I want to get all the elements inside this over there in my console, so for that, if I just type the name of container 1, okay, and if I click on enter, otherwise let's see the spelling. Okay, so over here you guys can see container 1, otherwise let's name this one as container 1. Okay, so let's come over here and let's type over here as container 1. So here actually I forgot to refresh the page. Okay, so you guys can come here and basically refresh the page, and let me just type container 1. And so after typing this one, as you guys can see, I did had an error, so I will just click on this container 1, and if you do want me to come down here, you guys can see that there is an error. Okay, so container 1 is not defined, so it's showing me that this one is basically not defined. So for that, what I'm gonna do again now is I need to come over here and I need to look out for the problem that what I do have over here with my code. So now again, let me just come here, let me clear this one, and let me just type the ID. You guys can also see it inside the element. So from here, if I just type container 1, and if I click on enter here, you guys can see I am able to see all the element inside this particular ID. Okay, so over here, the same way, if you do want to come here and if you want to change the inner HTML of this particular code, so for that I will just name this particular element, okay, or I will just mention this ID. So container 1 dot inner HTML. So you guys can see that I do have the option of inner HTML. And from here, let's put out the equal to sign. So from here, let's open up the double quote. And after opening up the double quote, let's say I did have this click here button inside this. Okay, so if I do want to change it and if I want to put out any text, let's say I will tell this is my class. Okay, so I'll just type this thing, and if I just run this particular code right now, and let's close this down with a semicolon, and if I just come here and you guys can see the content which I had inside this container one will be totally replaced by the text which I had provided right over here. Okay, so if I just click on enter here, you guys can see now this is actually being replaced. Okay, so that particular button is being replaced with this text. Okay, so the same way, if you do want to come here and let's just copy this same code, let's come here and let's paste it up. And from here, now if I do want to make this one bold, okay, I will be able to make these things bold as well. Okay, so for that, I will just come here and I will just type B. Okay, so let's come here and let's type B as well. So less than B, or let's type here division B, and let's close this thing down over here back again. So if I just come here and if I just click on enter, okay, otherwise let's come here and let's just copy this one, let's paste it, and from here I will just put on to the double quote which I had. And here you guys can see using this thing, I am able to make this handwriting bold as well. Okay, so this is how you guys will be able to maintain the CSS of your web page as well. Okay, so I hope till this much it was clear, like how you will be able to change the inner HTML or inner content inside. So as this class is not about CSS, but I'm just giving you guys an introduction to that. So the thing which I do have just now did is known as the DOM manipulation. Okay, so I do have changed the content which I already had by just coding over here. You guys can see that I do have this particular ID and I do have changed the content inside this particular ID. So in our upcoming classes, we are going to learn about comments. We are going to learn about data types, about different kind of variables, but I'm just giving you guys an introduction to each one of those, that you get a better idea about how this JavaScript programming basically works. So let me show you guys about other examples as well. So let me just come here. Let me clear this whole console. So over here, if I just show you, you guys can see under body, I do have this particular tag name. So if I want to get the element inside the tag name, so I need to type document dot get element by tag name. Okay, so here you guys can see I do have this option. So I will just click onto this one. And from here, now let's open parenthesis. Over here, you guys can use a single quote as well. And the name of that tag is H1. Okay, so I will just put H1 over here. And let's close down the parenthesis by just coming here. And if I click on enter here, you guys can see that I do have this HTML collection. Okay, so inside this H1 tag, you can have multiple elements. So if you just roll this one down, here you guys can see that you do have these arrays. Okay, so over here we are gonna learn about different kind of arrays as well. Okay, but for now, if you do want to get out this first element, okay, otherwise this particular thing which you have, okay, this welcome you all to my class. If you want to get access to this particular thing, that what you need to do is you need to come over here, okay, and make sure to copy this one, Control C. Let's paste this one, and after writing this H1, make sure to give out a space, and over here now you guys can come here and you guys can open up the square bracket and you guys can type 0. Let's close down the square bracket as well. Let's click on enter, and after that here you guys will be able to manipulate this from here as well. So let's copy this one, let's come here, let's paste this thing again. Okay, and after typing this one, okay, as you guys can see, so under here, if you do want to change its style, let's say I will just put dot and then I'll just type style. And if you do want to increase the size, okay, so I will just type style dot font size. Okay, so over here you guys can see I do have this font size option, and let's put out equal to, let's open out the double quote, and let's say I want to make this one as 120 pixels. Okay, so for pixels I will write px. Let's click on enter over here. So over here again, let me just put this one, and from here now from 25 pixels, let me just turn the font size into 65 pixels. Okay, so you guys might be thinking, well, this is the tag name, but what is this number? Okay, so you guys need to know that this is the numbering style. You will get the first element, but writing 0. Okay, we will understand about that in detail. So if I just click on enter here, you guys can see you guys can change it to 65 pixels, and from here let's say if you want to change this to 125 pixels, and if I just click on enter here, you guys can change this particular font to 125 pixels as well. Okay, so also you guys can come here, and as you guys can see, you guys will be able to change the background color as well. So if I just type style dot background, and over here let me just type a color. Okay, let me type yellow. Okay, and if I click on enter here, you guys can see the background of this particular text has turned into yellow right over here. And again, at the same time, if you want to come here and if you want to change the font size, let's say to 25, here you guys can see it have changed to 25. And if you do want to change again, like if you want the visibility, like if you want to hide all the objects inside, instead of font size, just go with style dot visibility. Okay, so visibility over here, and now inside this one you guys can just type hidden. Okay, so you guys can just type hidden, and if you click on enter here, you guys can see the whole thing over here is been hidden. Okay, so this is how you guys can work. And also let's come right over here, Control V. Okay, and from here now, instead of the visibility, if you want to come here, if you want to make the whole display, let's say in the whole display, I don't want anything, okay? So I will just come here and I will just type none, okay? Otherwise, and if I just click on enter, here you guys can see the space which I had on top for this display also. I don't have that space as well. So now it is starting click here. So you guys do have understood that here you will also be able to do the DOM manipulation. Okay, you will be able to maintain the CSS of your website as well. So yeah, I hope you guys do have understood this class on how you will be able to do the manipulation inside your console of this particular browser. So we won't be learning much about the CSS, but just to give you guys a brief basic about how you'll be able to manipulate those as well by getting the element, by putting the element name, giving the number, then controlling the style of the font, controlling the color of the background, and if you do want to change the font size again, the visibility, if you want to show it, you guys can type show. And here under display, I do have put none as I don't have the space as well where my first line or the first element was written. So let me just clear this console and I hope this class was clear. So I hope to see you all in the next chapter where we're gonna learn more about the JavaScript and we are going to get started with that. Okay. So you need to understand that where you guys are typing your JavaScript. If you just go to any other website, okay, you guys will see that most of the website, and it's a good practice also, that you do write your JavaScript inside the script function. Okay, and this script function should be on top of the body option. Okay, so I can come here and now I will just click on Control X and let's come over here and I'll just click on Control V. So my script should be just on top of my body. Okay. And here you guys can see inside my script, I will have my JavaScript. So if I come here, if I right click again, if I open with live server, and you guys will be able to see it inside my console. Okay, let's come here, let's go on inspect, and here inside my console, you guys can see that I do have this hello everyone, because in my VS Code I do have it here in the console.log API. Okay, so we do have understood about this console.log. We do have understood about the alert function. If you do want to show the alert function as well, you guys can come here and now you guys can see you will get this particular alert function. So I'll just click on OK and you guys can see that I do have my page and also the button right over here. So let's try to understand more about the APIs into our next class. So I hope to see you all in the next chapter. Till then, take care and goodbye everyone.